Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's session, The Rising Business of Buy Now, Pay Later. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. I'm Carol Hargrave, and I'm part of the Global Pay Later team at PayPal. Today's session will include a Q&A at the end of the presentation, so we've enabled the Q&A feature in your dashboard. You can submit your questions there at any time during the presentation, and we'll get to them during the Q&A. After the webinar, we'll be sending out a short survey. It should take about 2 to 3 minutes to take. And if you miss anything, don't worry. We'll be sending out the on-demand recording when it's available. And now I'd like to introduce today's speaker. Greg Leshefsky is the Vice President and GM of Global Pay Later Products at PayPal. Before joining PayPal, Greg was a founder and CEO at BlissPay, a point-of-sale financing platform. He has over 2 decades of experience innovating consumer credit with a focus on buy now, pay later offerings. Please welcome Greg Leshefsky.
Thank you, Carol. Hi, everyone. Thank you for spending some of your day with us. I wish I was with I wish we were all together in person, but I am coming to you from a rare place, an actual office, which I made it in today. Before we go ahead and get started, I'd love to start with a quick poll question. So we'll put it up here on the screen, and you can and click your answer quickly. So you just take a few seconds and let us know how you're using or not using buy now, pay later features. That'd be great. Okay, well, I think you've come to the right webinar here. Is we're going to spend the next 25 minutes or so talking about buy now, pay later. So we can go ahead and get started. And really excited to be with you all, and I appreciate you taking the time. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk to you about the tremendous opportunity with buy now, pay later, and why it appeals to today's shoppers. This segment of consumer financing has been seeing really massive growth recently, especially in these challenging financial times. And then we'll talk to you about PayPal's unique pay later solution and how easy it is to get set up with it and make an impact in your sales. So even with all the challenges consumers have been facing, they're still spending. But the things they're buying and the ways they're spending or paying are shifting. And many of these shifts could be permanent. Retailers across industries are thinking about how they can adapt. And here are what we see as the top trends that are likely here to stay. One of the biggest shifts has been from spending in-store to shopping online. E-commerce, it's now predicted, could rise to 25% of US retail sales in 2020. This is up from 15% just a year ago. And between March and April alone of 2020, the online share of retail sales increased by an amazing 90%. And as I mentioned, there are indications that this change could be permanent. Half of consumers say they will keep shopping online even after the pandemic. This presents an opportunity, a really big opportunity for retailers, especially those who make checkout as frictionless as possible with fewer form fields and easier navigation, and always offer the payment method your customers want. This includes mobile wallets, QR codes, contactless, buy now, pay later options. The next thing we see is consumers are shifting their spending online out of necessity, but with the financial future uncertain, some are still hesitant to part with their hard-earned dollars. Research has shown that high income groups have reduced spending by about 17%, while low income groups have reduced it by nearly 5%. While some of that is surely due to cutting back on costs like eating out and travel, there's evidence that budgeting is here to stay. One study that we've conducted found that 66% of Americans plan to track their spending more carefully, even once the pandemic is over. And I'm sure, like you, hopefully that is sooner than later. For millennials, who were once predicted to be the highest spending group of 2020, that number rises to 75%. So why the difference? Millennials were the hardest hit by the 2008 recession, and they earn about 20% less than baby boomers at the same age. Simply put, they have less money and they're more budget conscious. And that's why they're one of the groups driving the buy now, pay later revolution. So let's talk about where this new budget is going. It makes sense that spending on things like restaurants, hair salons, and travel has fallen this year. 78% of Americans report saving money in the past few months by not going out to eat, and 75% saved by not traveling. But we don't think this tells the full story. Consumers may be saving on in-person services, but they're spending more on things like groceries and cleaning products, takeout meals, and even comfortable clothing to wear at home for events like this, sometimes referred to as the waist up wardrobe. There's hope for small retailers in all of this. While many Americans are spending more on essentials, some also report their spending is up in non-essential categories. 24% are taking up new hobbies, 20% are buying new technology, and 16% are spending more on online fashion. This leaves an opening for retailers of these non-essential items, but having the right tools to capture these smaller segments of the population will be vital to success. It's no surprise that 38% of consumers recently reported delaying a large purchase. This is in line with a consumer behavior known as the bottom dollar effect. It essentially states that consumers get less satisfaction from purchases that exhaust their budget. So let's take an example. If a consumer only has $500 to spend, they're not going to want to buy something that costs $400. But if they have $2,000 to spend, that $400 hurts a little less. This gets magnified in a tight economy, where consumers put off large purchases to avoid that pain of exhausting their budgets. This is why payment options that let customers spread out the cost of a purchase over several installments are so appealing right now. And this brings us to the final trend. Wants haven't disappeared completely. Consumers are always looking for things like the latest fashions or technology, but now they're also looking for new ways to finance those purchases, which is why 30% of pay later users say that financing options were a deciding factor in their most recent purchase. This loyalty to buy now, pay later helps explain the rise of this industry. Installment lending volume more than doubled between 2015 and 2019. And it took a full 3 percentage points of growth from traditional lending products. And while that's impressive, in the next 3 years, transaction volume is expected to grow by another 54% in this category. This is a trend that retailers definitely want to get on board with to remain competitive. So, the benefits to the consumer are clear. They can better manage their money and still get what they need. But traditional providers like banks aren't exactly jumping on this trend. Only 3% of banks are currently interested in providing point-of-sale finance options. That leaves a huge gap between what consumers want and what the market is providing. And SMBs have not been best served by traditional lenders in any environment. Retailers can now use these offers to fill that gap. It appeals to many, many different types of shoppers. Let's talk about that. The millennial generation. Millennials are especially a huge force in the retail market. recently forecasted to spend $1.4 trillion in 2020. But they won't do much of it via credit. They grew up during the 2008 recession, as mentioned earlier, and their salaries remain far behind baby boomers. In general, they're skeptical of credit cards, with nearly a quarter not having a credit card at all. That is an opening for retailers, especially for large ticket items. Millennials are more likely than other generations to finance large purchases. And 60% of millennials agree that seeing pay over time offers gives them confidence they can afford to pay. Buy now, pay later could be an easy win for retailers who want to target this valuable age group. But it isn't just millennials who want to buy cool stuff. 74% of US credit card users think installment plans are helpful for budgeting. Savvy shoppers need installment payments to ease the bottom dollar effect so that they can get what they want without breaking the bank. Instead of a $400 purchase taking a big chunk out of their budget, they can spread that out into 4 $100 payments. Another study found that customers even give higher ratings to products that don't exhaust their budget. Buy now, pay later options can help you empower and satisfy these shoppers. And as consumers reach the bottom of their budgets, they have begun to look to financing smaller ticket items like clothing and household items. These small ticket loans were estimated to total $8 to $10 billion in 2019 and are growing at 50%. That was before the pandemic caused a shortage of funds and accelerated online shopping. So, millennials may have started the trend, but they're not the only ones who are on board with installment payments. 56% of consumers prefer to pay a purchase back with installments rather than a credit card. There's a perfect storm happening that could be contributing to the rise of buy now, pay later. While credit card rates are at an all-time low, banks are making them harder to get. Card issuers are lowering limits and closing cards altogether. This leaves consumers of all ages crunched for both cash and credit in this unprecedented climate. And buy now, pay later can fill the gap. Now let's talk about the benefits of this from a business perspective. Buy now, pay later is on the rise for a reason. It benefits both consumers and businesses, creating a win-win situation, especially in this less than optimal economy. There are 3 main reasons that flexible financing can help your business. First, it empowers consumers. You may want to give your customers the tools they need to make the choices that are right for them. When you do, you may be rewarded with better reviews and increased customer loyalty, plus lower cart abandonment. 42% of retailers say buy now, pay later has proactively combated shopping cart abandonment. Installment payments bridge the time between purchase and payday and give confidence to consumers that they can afford the item they're purchasing. Getting customers to complete the checkout process is only part of the equation. Buy now, pay later can also help grow your sales, prompting customers to make repeat purchases and increase average order values. Merchants with pay over time messaging on their site saw a 56% increase in overall PayPal average order values. By letting your customers know early in the shopping process that they have the power to pay later, you could increase your revenue. And the final reason is to manage your cash flow. Cash flow is always top of mind for small businesses. Without cash, you can't make payroll, pay expenses, and keep your business running. 61% of small businesses struggle with cash flow, and 43% say they're often at risk of not being able to pay their employees by payday. When you offer installment payments, you don't have to worry about chasing down accounts receivable. You get paid up front while customers pay later, giving you the ability to better control and manage your expenses. Not all financing solutions work this way, but the best options in the market do, including PayPal solutions. So I'd now like to talk to you about PayPal Pay Later solutions. Over the past few months, PayPal's been growing, adding millions of active customer accounts, driven by the acceleration that's happening based on the pandemic. We've also been hard at work adding to our Pay Later solutions to help our small businesses better connect with these customers. And here's what you need to know about our Pay Later options. I'd like to introduce you all to Pay in 4 by PayPal. It's our newest installment payment solution, and it's a great way to help you manage cash flow, grow sales, and keep customers happy. With Pay in 4, you get paid up front without taking on additional risks or costs. Pay in 4 is a solution that enables customers to make a purchase and pay for it, as the name suggests, in 4 interest-free installments over a 6-week period. There's no added cost for retailers with a PayPal business account to offer Pay in 4. It's included in your existing PayPal pricing. Your consumers will pay no interest or fees when payments are made on time. And we really think it's perfect for smaller to medium-sized purchases up to $600. And now I'll walk you through how it works. The key to driving conversion starts here on the product page. The power of this solution is really in the messaging. It's finding the right time in the customer purchase process to drive the purchase forward, to drive towards conversion. Breaking down the payment into installments makes it more manageable, and again, it empowers consumers to buy now. And we do it in a few simple steps. So here are some of the screen flow for users. We start on the product page, and ultimately it gets to a PayPal button or a recently introduced PayPal Pay Later button, which takes the customer to the familiar PayPal checkout experience. Within that checkout experience, we're introducing a new Pay Later section. Again, this is all included and bundled with your current PayPal pricing. That section will have now 2 value propositions: our new Pay in 4, as well as our traditional PayPal credit offer, which I'll talk about in a second. And when the customer selects Pay in 4, they go through a pretty streamlined process. It starts with letting them know what the 4 payment buckets will be. We then collect a little bit of information, most of which is already part of their PayPal wallet, so they don't have any new entry to do. Then they simply choose how they'd like to repay, which is all automatic. We support debit and credit cards. And that's it. Once they do that, they're done. We confirm that they're good to use Pay in 4, and they would return to your site and complete their purchase. And then we handle everything after that from a customer perspective. It's really that easy. In addition to Pay in 4, we also offer PayPal credit, and more important to converting sales, we offer the value prop on PayPal credit, which is no interest on purchases over $99 if paid in 4, or I'm sorry, paid in full. You may already be using this if you've been a PayPal merchant for a while. Taken together, these 2 products make up the PayPal Pay Later solutions, and they provide options that your consumers want and results that the business needs to help them stay afloat in challenging times. And now we give you the ability to not only use both Pay in 4 and PayPal credit, but we've made it possible for you to offer dynamic messaging of the right offer at the right time, all with very little additional work on your part. So let me touch on that. With our dynamic message offering, you simply integrate a simple messaging technology that we have, or if you're on one of our partner platforms, you enable it through that partner platform, and then we'll take care of the rest and present the most relevant offer to a customer based on the context of the transaction. So you get both of these great offers to help drive sales and conversion at your existing PayPal price, all simple and easy to do. So we talked about buy now, pay later benefits your bottom line. But PayPal also offers additional advantages for your small business. We can give you access to over 346 million active users, while most of our competitors only have a small fraction of that. In addition, PayPal is recognized by consumers around the world and is one of the most trusted brands specifically for online payments. In the US, almost 2/3 of online adults have used PayPal in just the last 3 months alone. Retailers love us too. We're used by 83% of the 100 leading US retailers. We enable our retailers to access all of their payment and commerce tools within one platform. And you also automatically get access to new pay later offers when they become available without any additional development work. This helps streamline business and keep costs down. We also give you the power to let customers know early in the buying process that you offer pay later options. That's essential because 75% of consumers who finance large ticket purchases decide to do so early in the purchase journey. With our pay later tools, you can dynamically promote multiple pay later offers within your PayPal integration, presenting your customers with their best pay later option. When a customer buys, you get paid up front and you leave the rest to us. Overall, our goal is to give your consumers more buying power and to help you drive higher sales and increase conversion on your site. Equally important to our product is ensuring customers know about it. PayPal is launching a multi-tier campaign to educate consumers and drive awareness and trial of Pay in 4. We're testing creative and messaging aimed at digital natives in order to establish a strong foundation to scale Pay Later throughout the rest of this year and well into 2021. A key message is how we're empowering consumers with flexible and affordable spending options. Consumers will see messaging on their website, apps, email, and wherever they interact with PayPal. We'll be using micro-influencers to spotlight top verticals, celebrity influencers to talk about the value in select channels. Traditional display advertising will meet consumers where they're shopping. We're launching merchant co-marketing programs to target consumers across categories. And finally, we're making Pay in 4 a huge part of this year's holiday campaign. We think this is really important to help the overall network really thrive this holiday season. So while we think there's great benefit to merchants launching this directly on their sites, we also want to do our part to educate consumers and really let consumers know there's one pay later solution that they really have to worry about, and it's tied to their PayPal account, which they know is essentially accepted everywhere they can shop online. And I just wanted to share a quick quote from one of our partners who has launched Pay in 4 with us to demonstrate the value on the merchant side. In this case, I'll read it to you. While shopping online, our customers care about flexibility, control, and seamless experience. Pay in 4 is built with these customer needs in mind, and it leverages the trust our consumers already have in the PayPal brand. And I think this quote really nails it. We really are focused on giving control back to consumers, giving them the flexibility they need, and creating a seamless and beautiful experience, all while helping our merchant partners convert sales and thrive during the holiday season and beyond. So if you want to get started or learn more, the simplest way to do that is to go to paypal.com/paylater, and you can learn more about our offerings and how easy it is for you as a merchant to sign up. And it's not too late. We've made it, we believe, easy enough that there's still time to get this up for peak holiday shopping. And even if you can't make that season, we think this is a product that and a trend that's here to stay. So we'll be here for you in 2021 and beyond. And we plan to to continue to introduce new value props in this category, improve customer experience, invest on the marketing side, and we look forward to being your buy now, pay later partner of choice. We do have a few minutes for Q&A, so I'll turn it to Carol to pull the questions out of the Q&A channel. But before I do that, I did want to say thank you for your time. I appreciate you spending part of your day with us, and look forward to hearing from many of you over the coming days and weeks, and of how PayPal can help you with growing your business.
Great, thanks, Greg. Just a reminder, if you have questions, you can click the Q&A button at the bottom of your dashboard and enter your questions into the Q&A dashboard. But we have a few already. So we have several questions about who is using these products. What kind of customers are using them? Is it mostly millennials? What's the ideal candidate for buy now, pay later?
Thanks, Carol. That's a great question. A pretty traditional one. I'm going to give two answers. One is we see wide appeal across all customer segments. At PayPal, with so many consumers, across the globe, but especially in the U.S., we see adoption with our rollout already across all categories. But we do see a concentration in the millennial, Gen Z category, digital native category. And we're not surprised by that, but it's always good to see what you have as a going in hypothesis. So we think we're really resonating there. We'll help pull those customers through the shopping funnel. But as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, it doesn't stop there. But we definitely have an over-indexing in digital native millennial population, especially relative to our longstanding flagship product, PayPal Credit, which also has great adoption amongst millennials, but we see an over-indexing to our Pay in 4 product.
Great. And we have another question about the product fit. What products, what price points is Pay in 4 best for? And then also, do we have options for bigger ticket items over $600?
Yeah, good question. On price points, we think this is sort of the move down the price point continuum of financing. So we see a concentration in the $100 to $250 range. We see use across, our product supports $30 to $600, and we certainly see a curve that covers all of those endpoints. But suddenly it's the $100 pair of sneakers, for 4 payments of $25. In that particular category where we see it resonating. And we're expecting an average order value basis this to be in the $120 to $150 range. Early data suggests that's about right. But it really does open up that bottom part of the price point funnel, unlike sort of more traditional lending products, which brings me to the second part of your question. For medium to large purchases, we have a fantastic 0% offer for 6 months. It's a longstanding product. It goes back to, at the risk of aging myself, it goes back 14, 15 years now with Bill Me Later as the pioneer in the buy now, pay later space that became part of the PayPal family a little over a decade ago. And we now call it PayPal Credit, but the value prop remains, which is 6 months of no interest on purchases if paid in full, which millions of consumers take advantage of on an annual basis, for billions of dollars. It's a real needle mover for medium and large size tickets. And we think we've underutilized that in pushing that out to our merchants. It's been there as a wallet feature. Many merchants, but not, we haven't. Many merchants have used it upstream, but we think by making the tools easier to use as part of our Pay in 4 and broader investment in the pay later space, it's a chance to sort of refresh the market, and that's why we're excited to push out essentially a suite of offers today, consisting of Pay in 4 and the 6-month offer. And I'd say more to come, 2021 and beyond.
Great. We have another question about the customer experience. How easy is it for customers to use? What do customers have to do to be able to use the product?
Yeah, I know I went through those screens quickly. For Pay in 4, they don't really have to do much more than they would do to use PayPal, which millions, tens of millions of customers do on a regular basis in the US. They log into their PayPal account. They pick Pay in 4 as a funding instrument, just like they would pick their credit card or their debit card or their PayPal balance or PayPal credit. Once they select Pay in 4, there are two simple screens, I guess 3 simple screens rather. One is to just make sure they understand that what the 4 payments will be in a schedule. So it's a highly transparent product. The second screen is just confirming their information. As I mentioned during the quick review of the experience, the majority of which we have on file. And then the last step is just letting us know which funding instrument they want to use to pay it. As we designed the product, we really light touch. This is all about giving a customer payment optionality, not giving them a loan to manage, right? It sort of manages itself. They're certainly welcome to come at any time to the PayPal app and change a funding instrument, move a payment up, et cetera. But really, once they get through that, there's 3 simple steps. It's finish at the merchant and they're on their way.
Here's another question that we have. There's a lot of buy now, pay later products on the market right now. How is PayPal different from those and why is it better?
Yeah, great question. So a couple of points. PayPal has some really unique assets to bring to market with a product like this. So we have a brand that is well established and and has lots of trust in the market from a consumer perspective. So point one is, when a customer sees this option, they don't have to, and they see it next to PayPal. There's no questioning like, I haven't heard of that. How will it work? What is that? I'm not familiar with that. I don't have to do research on such and such. So we think brand is a big differentiator. Data for us will be a big differentiator. So we see millions and millions and millions of transactions. We have relationships with tens and tens of millions of consumers. And that's important because at the end of the day, we are making a loan. So there is a bit of a decision process that happens. And because we have so much more data than any other provider, we're able to make that decision faster. And more importantly, we're able to make it more accurately and more often in the customer's favor than if you're just relying on third-party data, which most of our competitors have to do as they're just building up their consumer profiles. So, we think that's a really big differentiator for us. It gives us a real advantage that really gets leveraged or passed on to our merchants. Third, because we're primarily a payment processing business at our core, that's the machine that makes the sort of economics go. For us, we're completely aligned with the merchant in the sense of being in this as a win-win-win for the merchant, the consumers, and then us, because our pay later solutions are there to help drive additional volume. And when that volume flows through PayPal, it's good for our processing business. And we don't have to monetize this just as a lending business like all of our competitors do. And not that they would ever call it a lending business, but ultimately that's the only thing they have to monetize. And as a result of that, we're able to offer it at a price point that's just well below market norms for standalone solutions, and is why we're excited to offer it bundled as part of your PayPal pricing. And the second part of it being part of PayPal is this is already a platform that many merchants are integrated with. Hopefully, most on this webinar are, and therefore the technical lift to sort of add this option is really low calorie. It'll be there in the wallet, so all the merchants that we're partnered with will get some benefit from it, but they won't optimize the benefit unless they introduce the messaging. But introducing messaging is different than introducing a new tender type. When you introduce a new tender type, you have to think about back office procedures, a new settlement, something different to look for in reporting, exception processing. If you're omni-channel, how do I treat the tender type when it's an online purchase but an in-store return? All of that, all that's already been sorted out for PayPal integration. So, and I could probably go on and on, but I think those are the things I would highlight: brand, data, and the ease of price, and the ease of bringing it to market.
Great. We have several questions about customer pricing too, and how how the pricing works for customers in addition to the great experience that you talked about.
Yeah, sure. Pricing, it's for interest-free payments. So from a extension of credit perspective, if it's a $100 purchase, 4 payments of $25, it's 4 payments of $25. There's no fee to take advantage of it for the consumer. There's no interest applied proactively or reactively. The only direct customer price, and this varies a little bit by state, is this is operated under sort of a state lending model, is there is a nominal late fee in most states. The average in most instances it'll be less than $8, and that's really there to incent behavior. We didn't build this business to win on late fees. Late fees actually help drive good payment behavior, which is ultimately what we want. And we've engineered the product so that customers really don't have something to manage. So we don't see late fees happening a tremendous amount, but it is an important tool to drive repayment, given that we absorb all the risk, which I should have highlighted as a merchant benefit as well.
Great. And then just a couple of questions around integration that we've had. Like, when will this show up on merchants' websites? What do they need to do to get it onto their website? I think there's a lot of interest in getting it enabled.
Yeah, so it's live now. It's available for merchants who are processing with PayPal and for those who aren't. But of course, they'd have to have PayPal first as a payment mark. I would say the quickest and easiest way is to start at paypal.com/paylater, and then if you need to jump on the phone or fill out a form, go ahead and do that. But if not, you can also go right into our developer docs, and there's a whole PayLater messaging section in there, and it talks through how you can how you can simply integrate the messaging, either direct through a pretty lightweight integration of an SDK, or if you're on one of our partner platforms, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, etc. We've gone ahead and done some of that work so that it's more about enabling the feature inside your console at your respective platform partner. We haven't wired them all up yet, so there's still more to come. But even if you don't see your even if we're not yet integrated at the partner level, the platform level, you can still do direct. It would still work. So I'd say check out the website ASAP or while we're talking, and you should see a pathway to the developer/integration documentation.
Great. And just a couple of last questions. How does the approval process work for the customer? Does it hit their credit report? What's that approval process like for a consumer?
Yeah, so it is at the technical end of the day, this is still a loan. There is an underwriting process. Back to the data I talked about earlier, the majority of these decisions PayPal can make with just its proprietary data. That said, we do have a relationship with the credit bureaus, and if we need to augment that data, we will inquire at a credit bureau. However, it will not impact the customer's credit score. It essentially is executed under what's called a soft credit hit. So it allows someone like us to review a credit bureau without putting a permanent or what's known as a hard mark on one's credit report. And we think that's really important because this is not a traditional heavyweight loan. So we thought it was important not to overweight on the credit bureau. That said, we do take the responsibility of lending money seriously. So we do apply things like ability to pay checks, et cetera, so that we're not helping people get overextended. And we feel really good about that. And when you sort of wash all of that out, the throughput rate, when you're talking about approval rates, those who start it versus those who get through, are really, really high. Like we're confident, I'm not unfortunately able to share sort of specific operating metrics, but we feel really strongly that we're the top watermark, and based on our own research and benchmarking, and we think it'll be hard for others to match it for a really long time, given the size of our customer file.
Great. And then one last consumer question. How can I learn more and participate in the holiday program for consumers?
Yeah, great question. I think given where we are in the calendar, the fastest way to participate is to get messaging up on your site and take advantage of letting customers know you have this option available. And it doesn't have to stop at the website. It can go into a merchant's outbound communication, whether it's email, letting their consumers know on social, et cetera, that the feature now exists. It's great to drop into a cart abandonment email to, as a trigger to help pull someone back. And then as we invest in consumer awareness, we'll be highlighting various merchants throughout the season. And if there's a brand or a merchant that resonates with our consumers, we'll look at pulling that into some of our efforts as well.
Great. There's a lot of repeat questions in here. I'm just going through them all. I think we've hit the majority of the subjects. And I apologize for not being able to get to everyone's questions. We've got a number of questions in here, and we'll try to address those both in the panel and in the emails. But thank you so much for all of the questions. Greg, is there anything else that you wanted to cover?
I'll just end with I'll just recap the ending I already have, which is simply we're excited to have this offer and be able to make it available to all of you ahead of this holiday season, but it'll be here long beyond that. And I know how precious your time is, especially at this time of year. So thank you for the 45 minutes. And we really did focus on making this simple. So that because we know how much other stuff you have to worry about: inventory, logistics, your own marketing programs, et cetera. So I think it was nearly 89% of merchants, folks on the call who don't currently have an option. If you have 30 minutes, check it out, because you might find that you can get this stood up, in something measured in, or your development team or your third-party support can get this stood up in really a matter of, in some cases minutes, but I'll go ahead and say hours, in time for the holiday season. Like we really wanted to make it low calorie and make sure you get the benefits of it. So I'll end with that, and just again a really sincere thank you. Really appreciate everyone's time.
Great, thanks everyone. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Carol. Take care.